Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here one more time, Stratford, Ontario, Canada for String Tech Workstations. A lot of things have transpired since that last video back in November. It is January 15th, 2022. Belated Happy New Year. When I told my wife back in the fall that I wanted to take a few extra weeks off at Christmas this year, triple bypass open heart surgery was not on my things to do list. But I'm happy to say that thanks to the miracles of modern science and the surgical team at St. Mary's Hospital in KW, I am back and feeling better than ever. Still a little weak, still got I think a few weeks of recovery to go. So I just wanted to quickly bring you up to speed on what I've been up to there the last few weeks. It's about a month since the surgery, and it's time to start another video. So we're going to look at the Stratocaster. This is a kit guitar, of course, and nowadays the industry has completely made the switch now to these kit guitars. I mean, here in Canada, this is from Solo Guitars, and this is a customer I've done a bunch of work for before. Of course, in the States, now they're all over the place. There's Guitar Fetish and WD, and you know, everybody and their mother is making guitar parts and they're bolting them together. But you still need to know all the idiosyncrasies of setup. And what better guitar than a kit Strat? I'm going to walk you through exactly what we need to do and what this particular kit guitar needs to ultra tweak it and bring it up to 100%. So step one, before we do anything else, we want to get a tracing off this last fret to get the curvature of the fingerboard in order to make a self-adjusting radius gauge for the bridge saddle. So we're going to start there. Let's have a look. Now, I have had people ask this question in the past. You know, if you have a compound radius, which is quite common these days, you always take the radius off the last fret, which is the fret closest to the bridge. So I'm starting with a tongue depressor, and I'm just tracing the top of that fret. So that's our first move. Now I go over to the radius disc sander and the drill press. Now I will go back and forth a few times to get this right. It's dead straight right now, so I'm just going to nip it and then I'll check it again against the radius of the fret. And as I've shown in previous videos, this is operated by an air-activated momentary foot switch. Okay, that's enough to get us started. We'll check it against the guitar again. Bring you in for a close-up one more time. Now we're getting a little closer. Okay, back to the radius sander. And this should, I think this is going to do it for us. Here's our final check for the concave radius against the actual top of the crown of the fret. We're good with that. Now we'll use this concave radius to make a convex radius self-adjusting radius gauge. So we use this concave radius to create a convex radius, and this is our self-adjusting radius gauge. So we have a very low density foam here. We're just going to slip that under the strings. Let's go back to the guitar. The foam is low enough density that it will not hold the strings up. So I'm going to go ahead and do a rough check and just kind of get the guitar tuned to concert pitch, and we're going to check it again. So right now that we've got the strings tensioned to concert pitch, we're going to slip that radius gauge under there. And then next we're going to raise the middle 4 saddles so those strings are right up out of the way and they clear that gauge completely. The reason we're doing this, we don't want the tension of the middle 4 strings to push the gauge down. We want to start by adjusting the 2 outside strings, 1st and 6th, to the desired action height, and then we'll bring the middle ones down until they just kiss that gauge. I thought I'd give you an A to Z, since I've been missing in action there for the last month and a half. I'm bringing you in so that you get a real sense of the tolerances we're talking here. So this string can come down. We just want to just kiss that little piece of oak I cut out. This one, as soon as you got movement, you know you got room to go. So that little bit of movement tells us that those middle 4 strings do have room to come down. If I look at the 1st string, you can see the actual gauge sink when I touch it. Same with the 6th string. So before I even check that D string, I got to move it over a little bit. So I'm just sort of coaxing that over towards the G, and I am chasing it to the leading edge at the same time. Let's check that again for spacing. Okay, 12th fret. Perfect. Okay, so the first 3 strings, we've got the spacing good. It looks like that A could come over a little bit this way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just nudge it over a little bit. There we go. Okay, so on to the 3rd string. Well, the 3rd string spacing looks good, so let's just check it for... So I will file that out slightly. Now this is a 16 thou file. It's a little bit thinner than the 18 thou string, so you saw me kind of wiggle it side to side to open that up. Now I brought that over too far. Bring it back this way a little bit. Try that again. Okay, good, liking that. 12th fret note. Okay, now that is 4-cent sharp. So we need to cut that back. Okay, that can come down a little bit. I think we pretty well got that right on the money as far as the intonation. You're going to see this all when I bring it in. I'll plug it in and you're going to... Nope, can't argue with that. So what's happened so far is the first 3 strings fell within the confines of that original elliptical cut that I made. The G string, as you can see, had to be notched back to get it to line up. Now we got 4 out of 6 strings perfectly in tune. Let's go to the second string. Bit of discrepancy here. Okay, it is like 2 cents sharp, and it looks like the spacing is a little tight here. So it needs, there's two things I'm doing. I'm filing this slot out and moving the string over this way and dropping it down at the same time and chasing it to the leading edge. Yeah, that could definitely come over more. Happy with the spacing, 100%. Now we need to cut that back 3 cents. Quick check, 12th fret. Try that again, 12th fret fretted. Right on the money, 1st fret. Okay. Okay, so the last thing we're doing now, we've got all of the values, all 6 strings, spacing, perfect, 7th fret corresponding 19th fret, fretted note, open string, all of those notes, all of those strings, they're perfectly in tune. You can see why it's crucial to leave the nut a little bit wider, both sides, because you always want to have that little bit of forgiveness. There's a lot going on here. This is a day's work between setting this thing up and calibrating it, doing the frets, compensated nut. So now that we have the nut centered perfectly, intonated, string spacing, everything done, now and only now we can cut that back flush on both sides and glue it into place. So this is our final run here before we do the very final adjustment, which is playing the open string and fretting the 1st fret note. And that will basically wrap up all of the calibration for this guitar. Okay, let's get that nut out. Trim it back. There we go, mission complete. We'll bring it in the house and let you hear. Everything has been calibrated. Boy, this is my first complete guitar setup since my heart surgery back in mid-December. So I'm moving a little slow, but I'm taking all the right steps. Let's go have a listen. So that is what we ended up with for the compensated nut. So these are 11 to 49 at concert pitch. I have found another loop. So that bridge or chorus or whatever you want to call it, we start with an A major to the C sharp minor 7 over G sharp to F sharp minor 7 to D to B minor 11, C sharp minor 11 to D major 7. So let me just play through that again. So they are the two parts. I've looped them. So that second set of chords goes like this. And again, I'm illustrating different harmonic mechanisms, different points of the neck, so that you can hear how everything kind of lines up once you get the guitar calibrated and regulated. So we'll let that play, and it's more or less kind of A major, F sharp minor, and here we go. So one of the more obvious ways to check the intonation is to just play the same chord, different inversions, like your first position D chord, fifth position, triad, a pretty effective way to check to see that the guitar is calibrated across the entire span of the neck. You take any common chord, a C chord, now the other way that I like to check, and it's a little bit more thorough, is to do a diatonic chord progression. And the progression that I use, and I have used it in past videos, is 1 7 3 6 2 5 1. So if I'm in C major, it'd be 1. That's in this case C major 9, B minor 7 flat 5. 3 would be the E minor. 6 would be A minor, and of course 2 is D minor, 5 is G7 to 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that 1 7 3 6 2 5 1 progression in 3 or 4 different keys, and you'll kind of hear how the guitar is regulated across the entire span of the neck. Here's that same progression, 1 7 3 6 2 5 1 in E major. Again, same progression in A major. Pick another key, say D major. And one last thing I use quite commonly when I get on a home stretch with it, this one is obviously done, I like to use the interval of a tenth. So I'll use the interval of a tenth. This would be D major. And with the ninth on top. And here's probably one of the most obvious and easiest chord progressions to play, which is using that garden variety C chord. Now I'm fretting the first string, putting that G on top. So I'm taking that exact same form, moving it up 2 frets. That's now a D chord. And if I move it up to here, to the 8th and 10th fret, it's a G chord. So we've got... The customer now can just relax, play his guitar, knowing that it's completely in tune, end to end, string to string, fret to fret, chord to chord. It's not an expensive guitar, it's just a kit Strat guitar. This plays as accurate or more accurate than any Stratocaster. I'm not boasting, I'm just stating the fact. You know, chordal harmony needs to be checked as well, so building chords on fourths instead of thirds. So the chordal harmony would be So that's the neck pickup. And this is our next position, out of phase for middle and neck. And then just the middle pickup. And bridge and middle out of phase. And the bridge pickup. And that is it for this first video since mid-November. Anyway, lots more to come. We've got a few Martin neck resets we're finishing up, and we're installing a K&K system in a Larrivee guitar, so stay tuned. Plenty more to come. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Cheers.